So this Avant here, it's a new addition to the family. It had some dings and dents on it, and it wasn't really, fetching the kind of money that I was happy with selling it for. So I decided to take the bumper off, put my hitch. I could put this bumper back on, no big deal, but I don't really care. So I just got the hitch there, and I got my winter tires on it, some cheap rims, but those are my Bridgestone Blizzaks, which some would say are the best winter tires you can get. We'll talk about winter tires. Well, we'll talk about them a little bit right now. First off, the rubber composition is optimized for about 45 degrees and below. So that means you're going to get grip, night and day difference between an all-season, definitely a summer tire, but winter tire you're going to have actual performance. And then for the snow and the ice, well, the ice you can't do a whole lot about other than the tire material. You're going to slide on ice. But with snow, you have what's called these sipes, and it's just how the tread block is designed. They've got these little tiny louvers in there to as you roll around on the ground, those sipes are supposed to open up and close up, and they push the snow out of the tread. That's what they're supposed to do anyway. So the biggest deal is, you can have all-wheel drive, but if you look at some of these compilations on handling and traction, you're not doing anything if you don't have the correct tires on it. So if you got summer tires in a all-wheel drive vehicle, your braking, acceleration, everything is way more crummy than a two-wheel drive vehicle, even a rear-wheel drive vehicle with the proper tires on it. That's a little bit of a stretch. That might be close, but front-wheel drive with winter tires versus all-wheel drive with summer tires, the front-wheel drive with the correct tires on it will spank it every time. You see I got the spare tire out right here. This panel just pops out right here. You see I put a jack and stuff back here. That's my mattress foam topper, because I take this, since I decided to use this Avant now. See, this is my battery cable that I run to my tow vehicle. Since I decided to use my Avant now, this just rolls back here and is a big long bedding type material. But I do have a tire light on here. I picked up a nail on my last trip, and we're about to go through the process on what you were to do if this happened on the side of the road, or maybe it's a blowout, meaning they don't typically explode, but sometimes it would be called a blowout if it hit a pothole and all the air came out all at once, and then it went instantly flat. So if that was the case, you'd have to pull over right away, because you could start damaging your rim. The tire could start coming apart. It could be an unsafe situation. You definitely have to go at least very slowly, and then pull off to the side of the road. So then you're going to be looking into jacking it up and putting your spare on it. So the first thing is, you would lift it on an Avant, and this is really similar to a Q5, but I've got some spare lug nuts and a spare fuel pump back there. Those lug nuts are for my trailer. But first this is where the battery lives. I already kind of popped it. This lives right here. This is your jack, right behind the battery. And I already quickly popped it out, but you kind of just have to, it's got little notches in there. You kind of just pop it out, and then, there's a cover over this positive terminal. If that cover wasn't there, this is painted and stuff, but you might be careful with arcing out the battery if this cover wasn't on there. So that's always a good idea to put that back on there. And then obviously this is your negative terminal, so that doesn't matter as much if something ground across it. But so right here we just have the spare tire that unscrews. There would be this screw. Oops. I'm gonna have to grab that with a magnet. Actually, I'll show you what that is. What fell in there? What fell in there is actually this right here. I found an extra one that was laying in the gravel, and what this is to get the cap off of your wheels. So the first thing you would do is, there's two different style wheels. This cap is for this type of lug stud cover. So you're going to put this loop in, and you're going to pull it straight back. See how that has a little hook in it? And then Looks like this was already broken. One of those ends was already broken off. I've got extra of these. This car's been sitting for a while too. I'll get to this one. There's actually a lot of cars here that I'm going to get to, and I've also got a 3-liter supercharged project on the way, so stay tuned for all kinds of new stuff. But this is kind of a slow time of year that I'm not doing too much. There'll be a lot coming very, very fast. So now this style rim right here, you notice the center cap looks completely different. It's just popped in from the middle, and they have individual plastic lug stud caps. So in that situation, we're going to have these cap pliers. They're going to be located near your jack and your tools. Sometimes, a lot of times though, this might be missing. So if this is missing, you're going to have to look for it right now, because if this is on the side of the road and then these caps are extremely difficult to get off if you don't have any tools. So that right there would make you have to call someone. What we're going to look at is the part number here, just to make sure if you don't have one, you can order one. Or you can just take your caps off and leave them off, or get fancier lug stud covers. But the way this works is you just put it on like that and pull it straight off. So definitely make sure that you have this in your toolkit. Now what else, let me show you what else you need to do. After you get all these caps off, if you have caps, or the other style cap, then you're gonna jack it up. No, you don't jack it up first. The next step is to get your lug studs loose. So let's do that. Why wouldn't we just go ahead and jack it up first? That would make it easier, right? Well, sometimes those lug studs are extremely difficult to get off. So I already showed you we got our spare tire. In this Avant, we have the extra cap up here. And what we're looking at is the tow hook below there, and then the one right above that is the lug wrench, right? The stud wrench. And then we have a screwdriver up here. And I already showed you the loop was over here. So let's grab our tiny wrench, hopefully this thing does it, because that ain't much to speak of. So we need to get it fully flush all the way on there, and then just take your foot here on it, and if you have to, push all your weight down. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure you can get it by hand, but don't take it off any more than about a quarter turn. Just make sure you can spin it. And then see that I just kind of kicked it. I gave it a little heel kick, kind of like I'm starting my dirt bike. Now you definitely don't want to strip it out doing that. So if you want to be extra careful, just put your weight on it and then give it a little. See, this one's really stiff. See, that one really took some motivation to pop it loose. And if this was on the jack, that would be unsafe. That little flimsy spare jack that you got in the car. See, that one was a lot looser than that. Maybe it was corrosion though. All right, we got one more. It's best to keep it as level as possible, or slightly up. This one I had right there or up there. That's too high to get on it. So we'll opt for this right here, and then tie it again. There we go, busted it loose. Now all of them can be screwed tight by hand. Now we get the jack and we put it on the pinch weld. See this right here? This area right here that's exposed is the area that you want to do it on. And we'll just go ahead and go as close to this back area as we can, lifting the least amount of weight as we can. So then we're going to come over here to our jack. The other thing you want to make sure is you want to make sure that this car is on level ground. If you're on some kind of incline, and you also want to pull the emergency brake before you do this. Even though you're lifting the right rear wheel, your left rear wheel will still be activated on the ground, and that will give you a little bit of extra protection, as well as being in park with the front wheels. But you can't be too safe. So now if you'll notice, I'm adjusting this jack once it's up pretty close. Go ahead and put it as close to that plastic as we can, right about here. Now we're starting to lift the car. So now what we do is we take the end of this jack tool right here, Now I need two hands. We put one hand right here and one hand on the crank and just crank it up. Now that we got it all the way cranked up, see how it's in that pinch weld on level ground? Now we need to get our lug studs off the rest of the way. So we put our wrench in here, and now see, we can just do it by hand. See that? And now let's put these somewhere so that we don't get crud in the threads. And we'll just proceed to do the same thing all the way around. And now I'm just gonna cut to where the wheel's ready to pull off. Once we see, we do that 3 more times. If you don't want to scratch your rim, be careful and use both hands. This is a fake 2-piece rim. All right, one more. Come on. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we want at least 8 threads. If you have different offset wheels or different wheels, you want to make sure that you have enough thread pitch going into your hubs. So now, you know, I'm going to fix that tire, but now we would just roll this spare over here and plop the spare on. Now, let me just show you. As soon as I turned the camera off, see how this is in soft gravel right here? And see, I wouldn't have normally been using this. This is a bad idea to use in the most situations. This dug in to that soft gravel, and all it took was just a little bit, and the whole thing rolled back. Imagine if you had your feet or your hands or something underneath that car, because this little flimsy jack, they have a tendency to bend sideways or to break, or to you need to be on super flat ground. These are not safe jacks, right? You need to be really careful when you're doing tire changing on the side of the road. I was not necessarily expecting this to happen, but I'm not disappointed that it did happen. It didn't damage anything. You see, it just flipped over sideways. Now, this jack does look like I could use it again. It still looks fine. It is subject to being tossed away though. In normal circumstances, I would recommend you throw away a jack after it's been failed and twisted backwards on a car like this. And now we have to look into our splash pan. This didn't really damage anything. This heat shield needs to be bent back because it could make noise on the rotor there. But then let's see if we did anything. See, if I would have had my bumper on, I would have did that. If I would have had my bumper on, then I would have scratched it maybe. So look at how smart I am for. Not really, but I need to throw the bumper back on. It's no big deal. I just have to cut out the hole like I did on my other car. But now we'll have to get see if this would have happened. You know, you really could pull the jack out in this situation, but in most situations the jack's either completely done, toasted. Now you have to call someone and get it swapped out. So I could take that jack out in this situation and jack it back up and put the wheel back on, but I guess this is just a good educational video on what possibly could happen, especially in soft, wet, loose gravel. So you always want to make sure to be on flat, level ground, and this has happened to me before in a circumstance where I needed to jack a vehicle up. So the other thing to pay attention to is every time you do an oil change, or at least once a year, you want to check your air pressure on your spare. See how there is hardly any tire on that spare rim? Yeah, it loses air pressure 10 times faster than a big fat tire and rim. So, and it takes a lot of PSI. This thing takes, I believe, 65 PSI. You have to check. This one says 60 PSI. So you'll have to check on the tire and on the door of your car, whatever it is. If this was a Q5 or a Q7, it would have a inflatable spare, and it would the spare would not have air in it, and you would have a air inflation tool, and you need to make sure that you have all the equipment that you need to change a tire. So now I'll be grabbing my regular jack, and I actually don't need to put this spare tire on. You know how to put a wheel back on. It's exactly like how I took it off. So I don't need to show you how to put the wheel back on. But I'll see about showing you something. Maybe I will once I fix this tire. I need to spray soapy water on it and find where it's leaking from. If you want to see every single detail on stuff, if you don't want me to just brush up on stuff, then let me know if you want full detailed things. Check it out, just got 6 brand new General tires for the old F350. It's gonna get wrapped in some new rubber. That tread, boy. Some thick tread. So the tire was already low on air pressure. That's why we got it off. The first step, once you are looking for the leak, is to go ahead and air it back up. Obviously that's gonna help you find the leak better. So let me grab both hands to do that. What I have here is just a spray bottle of some slightly soapy water solution. And we're just gonna look for some air bubbles. Is that something? Might have been a false alarm there. Let's keep it moving. All right, now let's roll back over what we already sprayed. So far, not really seeing anything. We still got some rubber to cover. Most of the time, that's all it takes. We still have a little bit over here, so let's get to spraying some more, because and we're almost, let's go ahead and get the valve stem area nice and good. Get the whole bead all the way around. Sometimes it can corrode around the bead and the rim, especially on cheap rims like this one. You don't really see that with Audi rims, OEM rims. Now we'll go ahead and get, oh, we found it, it's right here. Now, if this went to a tire shop, see there's already a little bit of abnormal wear, but these came off of a S5 years ago. If this went to a tire shop, they would say that this was in the sidewall, even though I don't think it really is. It used to be just a vague 2-finger rule, but this is pretty close. So a lot of people say if it's in this first block, which that's also a little bit subjective, because different tires have different tread blocks. I'm just gonna yank that nail out and put a plug in it. And I've already got a video where I show plugging a tire, so I'm not gonna go all the way back through and show installing the wheel and all that kind of stuff. If you wanna see installing a wheel, just look at my brake video. So yeah, there you go.